Hi, how are we all doing today? My name is David Gugino, and in today's book review, I'm going to be reviewing a book that has like 3 in 1. I mean, this thick book right here is 3 books into 1, and the book is by John C. Maxwell. For those of you who don't know who that is, John Maxwell is one of the influencers, is what I'm going to call him, because his stuff is all about business, attitude, being a leader, being influential, about typical having goal stuff, not as specific as Zig Ziglar, but more of like all about dedicating your life. Not dedicating your life. Your life is the outcome of your life is all by your attitude and how you lead other people. And the books that are all 3 in 1 are The Winning Attitude, Developing the Leaders Around You, and Becoming a Person of Influence. And it's 3 books in 1 volume, is what he says. And honestly, John Maxwell is a very, very good writer. He's very, very famous. He's famous for writing books like Failing Forward, which I have read, but I do not have the book with me, so I can't really review that. And the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I have that one. He's famous for writing that. He's just a very famous writer, author, and businessman. It is a New York Times best-selling author, and the books are New York Times best-selling in this. So, we're going to dive into the book here, or books. And the first book that we're going to go over is The Winning Attitude. So now, listen to what he has to say here about the winning attitude. Listen to this. Unquestionably, our surroundings help construct our attitudes too. The word choices rises on the opposite side of environment and the attitude construction issue, speaking more logically than emotionally. The voice of this word says we are free to choose our attitudes. This logic becomes more convincing with the additional voice of Viktor Frankl, survivor of a Nazi concentration camp, who said the last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Job, ill, bereaved, and poverty-stricken, refused to listen to the advice of his wife, who told him, "Curse God and die." He rebuked her, saying, "You speak as one of the foolish women who speak. Shall we indeed accept good from God and not accept adversity?" These 2 viewpoints concerning how attitudes are constructed raise the question: which comes first, the condition or the choice? The following chart will help us answer that question. He has a chart right here. In our early years, our attitudes are determined mainly by our conditions. A baby does not choose his family or his environment, but as his age increases, so do his options. A while ago, I conducted a leadership seminar in Columbus, Ohio for an entire day. I talked about the importance of our attitudes and about how many times they make the difference in our lives. During one of the breaks, a man told me the following story. From my earliest recollections, I do not remember a compliment or affirmation from my father. His father also had thought it unmanly to express affection or even appreciation. My grandfather was a perfectionist who worked hard and expected everyone else to do the same without positive reinforcement. And since he was neither positive nor relational, he had constant turnover in employees. Because of my background, it has been difficult for me to encourage my family. This critical and negative attitude has hindered my work. I raised 5 children and lived a Christian life before them. Sadly, it is easier for them to recognize my love for God than my love for them. They are all starved for positive affirmation. The tragedy is that they have received the bad attitude trait, and now I see them passing it down to my precious grandchildren. Never before have I been so aware of catching an attitude from surrounding conditions. Obviously, this wrong attitude has been passed along for 5 generations. It is now time to stop it. Today I made a conscious decision to change. This will not be done overnight, but it will be done. It will not be accomplished easily, but it will be accomplished. So really think about that, and I really like what he says here. I did not think of this. A baby does not choose his family or his environment, but as his age increases, so do his options. Now, the concentration camp example, and even this guy's example, from like generations. People who have bad attitudes from generations, it just is passed down. They'll continuously have a bad attitude, and then one day he's like, you know what? I'm not going to let that happen, and I'm not going to pass it down to my grandchildren, or my hate for life. And even the concentration camp guy is like, we are free to choose our attitudes, and his attitude towards being in a horrible environment was like, yep, I'm going to get out of here, I'm going to have freedom, and we're going to accept good and not accept adversity. So, your attitude, now those are very far-fetched examples. You have to be very, very tough to have that mindset, especially in those situations, but when you work like a job, like a manual labor job, and everyone hates it and has a bad attitude, be the guy that has a good attitude. You'll be shocked as the rewards that come with it and the influence you will have on your coworkers. So really think about that. We are going to be in the book of developing the leaders around you. So now we have a chapter here, or a section called Potential Leaders Help Carry the Load. And they do, but notice he says potential leaders help carry the load. So listen to what John Maxwell has to say. Just listen to this. Businessman Roland Young said, I'm a self-made man, but I think if I had to do it all over again, I would call in someone else. Usually leaders fail to develop other leaders, either because they lack training or because they possess wrong attitudes about allowing and encouraging others to come alongside them. Often leaders wrongly believe that they must compete with the people close to them. Instead of working with them, great leaders have a different mindset. In Profiles in Courage, President John F. Kennedy wrote, the best way to go along is to get along with others. This kind of positive interaction can happen only if the leader has an attitude of interdependency with others and is committed to win-win relationships. Take a look at the difference between the two views leaders possess about people. Winning by competitiveness, look at others as enemies, concentrate on yourself, become suspicious of others. Winning by cooperation, look at others as friends, concentrate on others, become supportive of others. Win only if you are good, winning determined by your skills, small victory, some joy, there are winners and losers. Win if you or others are good, winning determined by the skills of many, large victory, much joy, there are only winners. Peter Drucker was correct when he said no executive has ever suffered because his people were strong and effective. The leaders around me lift my load in many ways. Here are two of the most important ones. As a leader, I sometimes hear counsel. And I don't want to hear, but need to hear. That's the advantage of having leaders around you. Having people who know how to make decisions, followers tell you what you want to hear. Leaders tell you what you need to hear. I have always encouraged those closest to me to give me advice on the front end. In other words, an opinion before a decision has potential value. An opinion after the decision has been made is worthless. Alex Agassi, a college football coach, once said, if you really want to give me advice, do it on Saturday afternoon between 1 and 4 o'clock. When you've got 25 seconds to do it between plays, don't give me advice on Monday. I know the right thing to do on Monday. Fellow leaders do more than work with the leader. They think like the leader. It gives them the power to lighten the load. So honestly, really think about that. And I like what it says here. If you really want to give me advice, do it on Saturday afternoon between 1 and 4 o'clock. When you've got 25 seconds to do it between plays, don't give me advice on Monday. I know the right thing to do on Monday. So basically, in that little story, which I still think is kind of confusing, he's getting the advice beforehand, and he has a time when he's getting the advice. And honestly, when you've got 25 seconds in between plays, you can really think about that advice, or you can give it to him on Monday where he's not going to use it at all, and then just simply forget about it. Because you want to become people want to become a sounding board for you, which is what the name of the section is. But in reality, what I'm trying to say here is you need people in your life to help you lead. Now, you can do it. It's been proven people have led by themselves, but it'll be much easier. And you might think, well, I don't want easy. Well, easy as in it's nice to have someone by your side. I love having much joy and large victory, then small victory and some joy. And I like there being winners, not just winners and losers. I like how everyone can be a winner. Everyone can be a winner. Even your competition can be winners. You guys can get along, you guys can compete, and you can just simply compete against each other. But now, what you really want to think about is you want leaders to tell you what you need to hear. You want people to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Because when it comes to being kind and being nice all the time, I get that. but you also don't have to be flat on me with telling people, like with fighting, for example, you need to punch harder. You need to use your hips to punch harder. You need to keep your hands up. Like, he's not being a prick about it, he's just telling you that is what you need to do. And encouraging others, like, the best way to go along is to get along with others. So really think about that. What we have in this book review is the third book is Becoming a Person of Influence. Now, becoming a person of influence, kind of like being a leader and influencing people with your attitude, I think is all important. Now, you might think, what is the importance of influencing, David? Why do we want to influence people? Well, honestly, when you watch YouTubers, you are influenced by their personality and what they do. You are influenced by the creativity and the talent behind the movie. And when you go to a restaurant and have a great meal, you're influenced by the waiter, the service, the way everything is cooked. Because the point that I'm making is you're influenced everywhere. And to be honest, if there was no influence, people would be nothing. Like, nobody would grow, there would be, everything would just be the same. So you ever think about that? If you were not where you're at today, you were influenced by where you're at today. If no one did that for you, you would be nothing. You'd have a job, but your job would be nothing. You would flip burgers at a restaurant and basically have no motivation or no ambition or even no ambition to do anything else if you were not influenced by anybody. So that is an interesting thing to talk about, but we're going to talk about when a person feels encouraged, he can face the impossible and overcome incredible adversity when a person feels encouraged. But listen to what John Maxwell has to say. Listen to this. A few things help a person the way encouragement does. George M. Adams called it oxygen to the soul. German philosopher, poet John Wolfgang van Goethe wrote, "Correction does much, but encouragement after ensure is as the sun after a shower." And William A. Ward revealed his feelings when he said, "Flatter me and I may not believe you. Criticize me and I may not like you. Ignore me and I may not forgive you. Encourage me and I will not forget you." To influence is a natural byproduct of encouragement. Benjamin Franklin wrote in a letter to Naval Commander John Paul Jones, "Hereafter, if you should observe on occasion your officers and friends a little more praise than is their due, and confess more fault than you can justly be charged with, you will only become the sooner for it." A great Captain Jones evidently learned the lesson. He eventually became a hero of the American Revolution and later achieved the rank of Rear Admiral in the Russian Navy. Just as encouragement makes others want to follow you, withholding praise and encouragement as the opposite effect, we read an account by Dr. Maxwell Maltz that shows the incredible negative impact a person can have when he doesn't encourage persons close to him. He described a woman who came to his office seeking his help. Evidently, her son had moved from her home in the Midwest to New York, where Maltz had his practice. When their son was only a boy, the woman's husband died and she ran his business, hoping to do so until the son became old enough to take it over. But when the son became old enough, he didn't want to be involved with it. Instead, he wanted to go to New York and study. She came to Maltz because she wanted him to find out why her son had behaved that way. A few days later, the son came to Maltz's office, explaining that his mother had insisted on the visit. "I love my mother," he explained, "but I never told her why I had to leave home. I've just never had the courage, and I don't want her to be unhappy. But you see, doctor, I don't want to take over what my father started. I want to make it on my own." "That's very admirable," Maltz said to him, "but what do you have against your father?" "My father was a good man and worked hard, but I suppose I resented him," he said. "My father came up the hard way, and he thought he should be tough on me. I guess he wanted to build self-reliance in me or something. When I was a boy, he never encouraged me. I can remember playing catch with him out in the yard. He'd pitch and I'd catch. We had a game to see if I could catch 10 balls in a row, and doctor, he never let me catch the 10th ball. He'd throw 8 or 9 to me, but he always threw the 10th ball into the air or into the ground, or where I couldn't catch it." The young man paused for a moment and then said, "He would never let me catch the 10th ball. Never. And I guess I had to leave home and the business he started because I wanted to somehow to catch the 10th ball." Now, Lack of encouragement can hinder a person from living a healthy, productive life, but when a person feels encouraged, he can face the impossible and overcome incredible adversity. And the person who gives the gift of encouragement becomes the influencer in his life. Whoever gives the gift of encouragement becomes the influencer in your life. And it's like that story of catching the 10th ball. His dad would never let him catch it. And then he belittled him for not catching it. And he's like, well, if I can't really run a business to the top of the way he wants it, he's never going to be satisfied. So think about that. In my opinion on satisfaction, in real life, humans are never satisfied. They never are. You're going to want to always make more money. You're always going to want your muscles to be bigger. You're always going to want to have nicer cars. You are always going to want to your life. And being an encourager, an influencer, and even a leader, why would that not be your goal? Why would you not want to encourage everybody and help everybody so we can all have a good time at our jobs, so we can all accomplish something in our jobs, and so we can all just have a good time wherever we're at in life? And the reason why I bring that up is because there are so many people out there who hate their jobs and hate their lives, and they take it out on their coworkers, they take it out on their family, and they just take it out on people around them. You don't want to be like that. You want to be an encourager, you want to be an influencer, and you want to have a positive attitude. So that is the book review for today. There was a lot of reading in that, but I hope you all learned something. The last section was a little confusing, but I hope you all learned on a different view of attitudes, being a person of influence, and being a leader. And the takeaway for today is be an encourager today. Encourage somebody. But I want to thank you all for watching. This is John C. Maxwell, The Winning Attitude, Developing Leaders Around You, and Becoming a Person of Influence. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope you all work hard today. Thank you.